Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the special meeting of the Englewood Cliffs Mayor and Council. Today is November 29, 2018. It's 9:06 a.m. I call the meeting to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Kranjak,
Here.
Councilperson Zaversa,
Present.
E. Park. Here. Councilwoman Park is corresponding via phone. O. Here. O'Shea. Here. M. Park.
Here.
Wu.
Here.
Borough Attorney.
Present.
Borough Administrator.
Present.
And Borough Clerk. Everyone's present, Mayor.
Thank you. Would everyone please rise for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Madam Clerk, would you please read into the record the Open Public Meetings Act statement?
Adequate notice of this meeting was given to the press and posted as required. Date and time of this meeting was legally given as required by the Open Public Meetings Act. This notice is on file with the municipal clerk and posted on the bulletin board. Minutes of this meeting will be made available to the public upon the completion of typing and proofreading by the municipal clerk.
Thank you. The Borough Attorney has an announcement to make.
Yes, being aware that this is a special meeting, we generally do not add new matters, contrary to the publication of the notice. However, in this instance, I've reviewed this matter and determined that there is an emergency due to public health, safety, and welfare, and we will be adding the award of contract for leaf removal. The details will be made during the resolution portion of the agenda. And we had to rebid that. We have a proposal that qualifies from Nature's Bounty, I believe. Nature's Choice. And they have been our leaf removal provider for years. It is under 50, not to exceed 50,000, which is budgeted, and it is $9.72 per cubic yard for leaf removal. And the DPW superintendent has let me know that he has no place to put the leaves. They are creating a hazard at the DPW site, and they must be picked up and removed. Under the local public contracts law, we are allowed to award this contract on an emergency basis rather than waiting for the next available regular meeting. We will ratify if necessary at the regular meeting, but I do not think it is necessary. It's my opinion that there is a local emergency and the bid is qualifying. This is a provider we've used, and the borough needs these services ASAP. So I'll state the motion, and hopefully someone will move the motion and adopt it, and second the motion.
Okay, thank you. I also want to welcome Lieutenant Hill here today. He's been the officer in charge since November 8th, when Chief Chaffee was placed on paid leave. October 10th, rather.
October 10th.
November 10th.
No, we could.
October 10th, yes.
Yeah.
October
October
10th.
10th.
So thank you for being here, and thank you for the fine job that you're doing. Appreciate it. Okay, can I have a motion to open to the public?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So if there's anyone from the public who wishes to be heard, including people from Beatty Padavano, please raise your hand, let me recognize you, and come up to the microphone, state your name and address. Yes.
Deborah Sabari, 106 Hollywood. I wanted to know if there was any other information you could give me on the ad hoc committee, and that's one. Two, I wanted to know if the council has decided on a date for reorg. Is it going to be January 1st, as it's been in the past? I just want to coordinate with my family for swearing in,
So I don't have any answers for you on either of those questions right now.
Okay. Do you know when you might have an answer for me?
Not sure.
It is the
I
end of
need to
November.
check some calendars.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else? Yes.
Karen Geiger, 270 Alfred Street, Englewood Cliffs. It says here that you have a resolution to change the settlement terms for Scott Mura's retirement or resignation. And I'd like to know what the changes are that you're proposing and how they affect the finances of this borough.
That's a good question. I don't support that, but I'll let the Borough Council speak to it.
Yes, this is an addendum to the settlement agreement. I know it says amendment there, but on the actual resolution, it says addendum. The addendum is short, and it provides for a statutory requirement that if Officer Mura, the statute says anytime in the next 5 years, anyone who applies for an involuntary disability has to have the ability to return to work. Not that they can return to work, but you have to have an ability. So I'm not done. So what is being changed is the provision in the contract that says there shall not be any return to employment with the borough.
Yes, but as I understand it, when that particular contract was approved by the mayor and council, basic to the terms of that approval was the fact that Lieutenant Scott Mura, or Captain Scott Mura to be, basic to that settlement was the fact that he was not to return to work. That was part of the signatory that Chief Chiaffi signed. It was basic to the tenants that were approved by the mayor and council as a condition of his decision to sign that. And as part of the borough's belief that he was not to return to work. It has been known by the mayor and council for at least 6 months, to my knowledge, that this condition was not met by the settlement agreement. So I would like to know, since Lieutenant Scott Mura, Captain Mura, signed the settlement agreement, fully aware of the stipulations in it, and since it was his obligation as a signatory to this to make sure that it met with the conditions that he needed, why the borough is entertaining, who on the borough, especially if the mayor is not behind this, who on the borough is taking the lead, and who on the borough is advancing this change in the settlement agreement, which benefits only Lieutenant or Captain Scott Mura and not the borough.
All right, let me just add, and let me unpack a lot of things that you just said. First of all, whatever the chief signs, in my view, is irrelevant, so let's just remove him from this discussion. The settlement was done under the advice of Labor Council, Borough Council, and at the time, Borough Administrator Steinell. We settled with him. We came to a number, and that number did include a no return to work covenant, and I feel the borough paid for that. Okay, and then the papers were submitted to the pension board, and they came back with their opposition to that clause. So my reaction to the borough labor attorney, the borough council, the then borough administrator was, hey, we paid for this, we should get the benefit of it. And if we're not getting the benefit of it, I want our money back. Okay, so I think we agree on that. And I am taking the lead on it because I'm trying to work it out where I get money back because we paid a settlement and we're not getting the benefit of our bargain. And everyone is trying to jam it down the borough's throat to accept this. And I don't think it's acceptable. The council could do whatever it wishes to do, but I will never support this because I feel that, like in all things, if you pay for something, you should get the benefit of that bargain. And if you're getting advised by Labor Council, especially Labor Council, who's well-versed and well-seasoned, and you're relying on their professional judgment, then they need to stand behind that judgment. And that's Mark Ruderman's firm.
So, let me
Excuse
just
me,
add...
I have another comment to make.
Okay, I need to comment to you as well.
Yeah,
So
go
perhaps you benefit from hearing what I have to say.
Okay.
Before you proceed. So, there was a global settlement. The mayor and council knew the terms, which included the no return to work. It was not the be and in all of the payment made to Scott Mura, but a part of a whole ball of wax. The mayor and council have the authority to make the change. So yes, you're correct. It was in the settlement agreement, and now the mayor and council have been apprised in several closed sessions, and again today, that it is necessary that we remove this for the benefit of the borough, so Scott Morrow's disability application will be processed. It is stopped at the pension board because of this provision. So once it is done, Mr. Moore's disability application will be processed, and 99% surety that it's going to be approved because he's disabled, and the likelihood of a return to work, he has said he's not returning to work. He did not apply for the chief position when we had that ordinance in place, which has now been repealed. And it's my understanding from representation from his now deceased attorney that he does not plan on returning to work. I cannot guarantee that, but I do recommend strongly that the mayor and council adopt this resolution approving the addendum, because we are stalled without it. We must remove it to get the disability process.
Excuse me, that's where, surprisingly, Mayor Kranjak, I agree with you on this instance. Scott Mura signed that settlement agreement with the full knowledge that the only obligation of the borough in that settlement agreement was to do what it could to help him move forward his disability retirement. That settlement agreement also provides that if he is not granted a disability retirement, he has an obligation within 15 days to apply for a normal retirement. So all that the borough is doing is allowing him to retire at a higher rate of pay for the rest of his life as a disability retiree, which is paid for by our tax dollars through the state. The mayor is correct that this council came to an agreement with Mr. Mura. It was his obligation to make sure, I guess I disagree with you saying it was Ruderman's, it was his obligation and his attorney's obligation to make sure that he met the conditions of a disability retirement. That was not the borough's requirement. And he was the one who signed it and said he would proceed. And he proceeded on October 1st to finally file those papers. And when he filed them, the records show from the disability board that he did not meet the conditions of a disability retirement, because return to work and availability of a job for him is basic to that disability retirement requirement under state law. And that knowledge came to the borough around the time that Catherine Steinell was still here. So it is at least 6 months ago. So my question is, why are you entertaining this now, 6 months later? How has that jeopardized, if it has, the borough's position? And why is the borough bending backwards to grant a disability retirement to this man, if in fact he can retire with just normally, and it would cost him less money? As you said, Mayor Kranjak, we have paid for this. There were many other stipulations in this particular settlement, which included retroactive promotion to captain for 2 years, $110,000 to him to pay for his attorney fees and other items. And the other half of that is that he would not return to work, and that went on ad nauseum in the settlement agreement. So I find it rather unsettling that the council is entertaining, absent any good reason, going forward with changing this, which will only benefit Lieutenant Mura and not the residents of the community. Thank you.
Just to clarify, my focus is on the settlement transaction and the benefit of our bargain. I am not characterizing any way whether or not Captain Mura is disabled, can return to work or not. So, Ms. Geiger, I'm staying away from that. You seem to have more information than I do, so, okay. Okay. I'm just not characterizing that because I don't know. And, yeah, okay. Anybody else? Yes.
Carol McMorrow, 489 Summer Street. First of all, happy Thanksgiving and healthy to everyone up there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If I would agree, if there's any way possible with what Ms. Sabari said, if you could let everybody know what the reorg date is at the earliest convenience. When you have family that lives out of state, sometimes if you have to make travel arrangements, it's difficult. And I know in the past, myself, had a child in the Coast Guard. I know Mayor Parisi didn't let us know until the week before, but if you could be different than that, it would be greatly appreciated. I wasn't going to comment on the Lieutenant/Captain Mura subject, but I will comment hearing what Ms. Geiger said. I agree with portions of what she's saying. I agree with portions with what, Mayor, you're saying. But as somebody who was present for the conversations, and as the only person...
In closed session?
Yes.
So you're not going to talk about closed session, right?
I'm not going to talk about closed session, but I'm going to talk about that I repeatedly brought to everyone's attention that...
In closed session? So you're not going to state what you said in
I
closed
said it
session?
out of closed session as well.
Okay.
I'm going to state what I said out of closed session,
Okay.
and I'll make that clear for the record. I repeatedly stated out of closed session that you cannot put a clause into a retirement, an involuntary disability retirement agreement that the individual cannot come back to work. That is not our law. That is pension board's law. And whomever, and I'm not going to state who, because we all know who, for those that were present in closed session for those discussions, we know who was adamant about saying that it could be done. What I don't agree with what Ms. Geiger is saying is, unfortunately, if you have professionals that are swearing and stating for the record that you can do ABC and putting their name and license on you can do ABC. Unfortunately, when it's found out that you cannot do ABC, the borough is held responsible for that improper advice. So, yeah, I agree that Lieutenant Captain Mura signed those papers, but if he was told by the professionals of the borough that...
His lawyer, you mean? If he was told by his lawyer, the borough...
Correct.
Borough professionals didn't deal with Mr. Mura.
Okay, well, whatever, okay, right, okay.
He had a lawyer.
Right, yes, who's now deceased, which even adds more problems
Yes.
to the matter. But,
And added to the delay from when this
exactly,
issue
and it's
came
very
up.
unfortunate that his
Yes,
lawyer at such a young
unfortunate.
age has passed away, so, you know. Anyway, it's unfortunate now that the borough, is in this situation, because we pay our professionals to give us the proper advice. And had that been investigated at that time properly and vetted, we wouldn't be in this position right now. Okay, and there's, you know, involuntary settlement doesn't matter. You still have to represent facts. You cannot lie about what the facts are that are in that settlement. Because that was a simple, pick up the phone, call the pension bureau, and is that fact allowed? But if the borough lawyers are saying they're making that representation, it's a problem. You know, there was only one other person that had an involuntary disability through this town. And for those of us that have been here long enough, know who that individual was. And if you pull that contract, I don't know if that had it in there or not. But the pension board just doesn't require it. It's not allowed, so I don't know what I don't know why you're not looking to the source of whoever gave you the bad advice. And they need to be held accountable for that bad advice. And that's, I agree with the mayor on that part, but, you know, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes.
Lauren Eastwood, Four Willow Drive. I didn't hear the Lieutenant Mura discussion. I did get a copy through Oprah of the settlement agreement. I'm assuming that the issue is that he is not permitted to go back to Englewood Cliffs. That's very readily ascertainable that the pension board doesn't allow that. And whichever borough lawyer, and I believe it was one of your predecessors, not you,
No, it was me. It was me.
put that in, it's not allowed. And
Well, I didn't put it in. We negotiated it.
but it's not something you can negotiate for, because then he can't go
Yeah,
out on
Well, it was
voluntary
done,
disability.
right, it was done on the advice of Labor Counsel, who was Mark Ruderman.
And, it shouldn't be penalized against Lieutenant Mura because the borough asked for something that basic research would have told them you're not allowed to have.
Yeah, I don't care where we get our money back from. If it's Ruderman, Mura, I don't care. I just want it back because it's not aligning with the benefit of the bargain.
What is public contracting reform ordinance?
That's pay-to-play provisions. The borough has never had that.
And it's long overdue that we have one.
Yeah, well, the state law came into effect in 2005, and I was surprised to find that Englewood Cliffs doesn't have a pay-to-play ordinance.
I was equally more surprised when I just found out about it.
That is long overdue because, as somebody who actually goes on the ELEC website and polls the filings, it appears that we have under the previous administration, we had a substantial number of professionals paying for their positions. It just looks awful. We had people making large contributions, and oops, we ignored Morrow Road. Oops, we ignored 5th Street. Oops, we ignored 6 Willow Drive. And there were 2 borough professionals, a lawyer and an engineer, implicated in 6 Willow Drive. I definitely think a pay-to-play ordinance is long overdue. I also would like to hope that the contents of the tapes will bear heavily on the decisions involving the next chief of police. I have one of them that was disseminated to me while it was not confidential. I'm not giving it back. I may put it on the internet. People like that should not be on the police force, let alone in consideration for chief.
Thank you. Agreed. Anybody else? Can I have a motion to close the public portion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to go into closed session, please?
Second.
All in favor? Madam Clerk, would you please get us into closed session with the appropriate language?
Resolution 18255, resolution authorizing closed session at meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. Whereas the mayor and council of the Borough of Englewood Cliffs has deemed it necessary to go into closed session to discuss certain confidential matters, and whereas the minutes of this closed session will remain confidential as permitted under the Open Public Meetings Act, or shall be released when there is no further need for confidentiality as authorized by the borough attorney. Now therefore be resolved that the mayor and council of the Borough of Englewood Cliffs will go into closed session for the following matters as permitted under the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-12. Pending litigation, Mura versus Borough of Englewood Cliffs. Number 2, Borough of Englewood Cliffs Affordable Housing. Number 3, 800 Sylvan Avenue LLC versus Borough of Englewood Cliffs, Mayor and Council and Planning Board. Number 4, 800 Sylvan Avenue LLC Planning Board, builder suit to challenge Planning Board denial. And item number 5, Public Safety Officer in Charge, Lieutenant David Hill. Okay.
Thank you, guys. Have a motion to come out of close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a resolution to authorize payment of claims November 9, 2018?
Okay, I'll do it.
Let me finish. Through November 29, 2018, $2,903,050.44.
Who moved it?
I did.
Bill, and I second it. Bill? Councilperson Zaversa?
Yes.
E. Park?
Yes.
O?
Yes.
O'Shea?
Yes.
M. Park?
Yes.
Wu?
Yes.
Resolution 257, authorized signing of amendment to settlement agreement between Borough, Michael Chaffee, and Scott Mura. I need a motion.
I'm actually taking that off the agenda
Okay,
today.
it's been removed from the agenda.
And then 258 will be leaf removal.
Award
take that.
bid leaf removal contract to Nature's Choice for 2018 at, what was it,
$9.72 per cubic yard of leaf removal, not to, with a total contract not to exceed 50,000,
Well,
which
you
is in
can't-
our budget.
Right, you can't put not to exceed, because what if there's, we have budgeted 50,000, you can't put not to exceed.
Okay, but their proposal came in at 50.
Right.
Well, okay.
You can't put not to exceed.
Okay.
I need a motion?
So moved. That's Resolution 258.
Correct.
Second.
Councilperson Zaversa?
Yes.
E. Park?
Yes.
O? Yes. O'Shea?
Yes.
M. Park?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes. Okay, so that passes. And then we have a first reading of ordinance 2018-18, Public Contracting Reform Ordinance. The public hearing on this will be on December 12th, 2018. Is there anything else I need to do? Have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Okay, roll call.
Councilperson Zaversa?
No.
E. Park?
No.
O?
No.
O'Shea?
Yes.
M. Park?
Yes.
Woo?
Yes.
Mayor Kranjak?
Yes, and this is important because we need to have integrity restored in Englewood Cliffs, which means that people can't be paying to get appointed as service providers to this town, which is kind of like what happened before I became mayor, and I'm disappointed that the 3 Democrats on council voted no. Well, we actually never had the problem in my tenure because no one's ever contributed. So, go back and look, so you're in favor of people paying to get positions?
I'm not in favor of your resolution.
Well, why not? Did you read it?
It's not fair and open as it's supposed to be.
It's not fair and open? You think it's better to be paying for positions?
Can we adjourn the meeting and let's go?
No, I'm just curious as to why you voted no on something so logical.
It's your logic, not mine.
Well, for people in the audience, the purpose of the ordinance is to basically exclude any service providers or professionals who have contributed to political campaigns or political parties locally as a way to curry favor to be appointed in the next term. So I think it's important. We never had that problem.
I'm curious, it took you 3 years to do it.
Well, actually, we never had the problem because I would never appoint anyone who actually did donate any money, so it is true. So here we go. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate your time today. We got a lot accomplished. The Beatty Padavano attorney's still here. I'm sorry we bored you. Just keep going. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Do we need to say when our next the special meeting will be for the public?
No, we don't, there will be a special
Okay.
meeting and it will be published.
Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Gloria and Ed, as you're running off, do you approve the adjournment?
I said yes.
Okay, thank you.